Today's topic is due diligence. Gets us to sales and marketing. So what does the brand look like? This is another one of my pet peeves. One of the reasons why I love accelerators is we bring in companies, they got pretty, I say terrible. They don't have great brands. They haven't picked the right name. They got a logo that they just grabbed off of some clip art. They don't look like a fully funded professional company. And people treat a fully funded professional company, or at least one that they think is fully funded. They treat them different. It's much easier to make sales for those companies. The customers don't see any yellow flags. So when you're looking to invest in a company as an angel, right, is this the brand you want to be associated with? Do you want to put their logo and their name on your LinkedIn profile, right, or not? And if not, personally, I just give them the hard truth and sit them down and tell them what I think of their marketing presence, or their website, or their business cards. Even I've seen some terrible business cards over the years. That to me is a yellow flag that they don't understand how to do marketing. Like if they can't even get a business card right. How big is the marketing team? Who's doing the marketing? It's often one person. It's sometimes the founder, even when it's a early company with a little bit of revenue, it's often one of the founders. Do they understand customer segmentation? Have they thought about the persona of their customers? Can they describe those segmentations as people? Can they describe them as actual people or made up people? What are their channels? What are their top 3 channels for reaching out and getting awareness? How are they storing all this information about all their marketing and sales? Do they have a database for that? Like, is that a well-run piece of org? Is it going to scale? One of the things you're looking for here is if they take your money, then they're promising you that they're going to grow by factor 2, factor 3, factor of 10. Well, what do the internal processes look like to manage that level of growth? How much are they spending? And what's the ratio of dollars spent on marketing versus revenue? And so you can just see whether or not that is whether that's a number that's trending upward or downward, and when you look at the past numbers and the current numbers. Same thing on the sales side. So how many of the salespeople are carrying a bag is the how it's talked about in the sales world. So how many people are out there picking up the phone or sending out email or doing something to initiate conversations with potential customers? How many active salespeople are there? And what are they bringing in revenue per month or per quarter or per year? When you step back and think about a company, after it's raised the money from investors, all the money that's going to come into this company from thenceforth is going to come from customers. That's what makes a company work. Revenue from customers. Nice and simple. So the only people in the company who talk to the customers to get them to send the money are the salespeople. So I have a friend of mine who was VP of sales at 2 of my startups. His joke is everybody works for sales. And everybody would laugh when he would say that, but it's true, right? So the marketing people exist to get the salespeople's life easier to bring in that money. And the product people's life exists to make a great product so that the salespeople have an easy time selling. And the finance people's life exists to take this money and bring it into the company, right? To actually bring in the POs or just process the PayPals or whatever. Like everybody in the company is all wrapped around down to this point of the spear of salespeople closing sales. And even if it's on the web, like a human being is sitting there tweaking the website to try and get that sales process as quick as possible so that those payments come in. So how many people are doing that and how much money are they bringing in is a really important measurement.
Louis, quick question for you here while you're going.
Yeah.
I get the feeling that most, if not all, of the companies that we're talking about, particularly fledglings, have so few employees that there is rarely going to be someone dedicated to these strategies. How have you talked with them about outsourcing some of these capabilities in the past? Is that realistic or just not even a chance based on the revenues that they're making?
Yeah. Okay, great. It's pretty uncommon for a startup to successfully hire an outside marketing company. So back to the opening before the recording started, we were talking about the lean startup hypothesis model, right? Hypothesis launch test loop. Well, when you're in a startup, you don't know what marketing is going to work. You don't know what words are the best words to use to describe the company. You don't know what channels are the best ones to bring in customers. And you don't have any money to go and hire a bunch of professionals to do that for you. So typically, one of the founders is decent at marketing, or one of the early hires is good at marketing, and they're figuring that out. So almost always, 99% of the time, marketing's done in-house. On the sales side, it's even more important. So when you're out doing sales, almost every customer says no. This is an important piece that unfortunately entrepreneurs don't get until they're knee deep in trying to close customers. When you're out researching a company and talking to potential customers about a potential business, almost everybody says yes. 90% or more will say that's a great idea. I'll buy it when it exists. And then when you turn around and have the product and go and make sales, a 10% close rate is great. And a 5% close rate is not unheard of. And when you're just at the very beginning, closing 1 or 2 in 100 is happy days. And so you have all this no out there. You have all these no's, and you need to understand why they're saying no. That is the most important thing in a startup, even more important than bringing in revenue. Because if you can find out why they're saying no, you can fix it, and you can increase the close rate, and then you'll get more sales later. So you can't outsource the sales. You have to be talking. Your people in your company have to be talking to the customers, because an outside sales force won't do that for you. And that's also why the founder has to be on sales calls, whether he or she is the salesperson or not. He or she has to be listening in on that part of the conversation. And all that information has to get back to the product team so they can fix the product. And it has to get back to the marketing team so they can fix the marketing. So unfortunately, no, it has to be done in-house. This is why even when the long-term expectation is that it's a channel sales, well, let's say just take a product that's going to sit on a retail shelf. So imagine you're making bottles of honey. Well, you don't get to sell a lot of bottles of honey face to face. You're going to, at scale, sell them through a distributor and get them on the supermarket shelves. And you don't get to talk to the people in the supermarkets unless you're doing demos. So a lot of the companies here in the States that are like that, organic food companies, they actually start in farmers markets on purpose so they can talk to customers face to face and see why they're not buying. Grab the people and ask, okay, thanks for coming, but can you just tell me why you didn't buy it today? Like that's gold. So unfortunately, that's just the reality of startups. All right. So then as the companies get bigger, you wind up with sales teams instead of salespeople. And the question is, well, how are they organized? So as you start to invest in companies with 2 or 3 people selling, how are those 2 or 3 people splitting up the customer base? It's never like everybody on the same. It's almost never pick a name out of the hat. That's your prospect. It's usually split some other way, like geographically or customer segment or something. We press them in the accelerator to think about how they're going to organize it when it has 10 salespeople, however long that is from now. Think about now, how are you going to organize your sales team when it's at scale so that you can organize your sales team now as you're building out to 10 people so you get it right. How's the sales team compensated? Is this a commission business? Are they just on salary? Even whether it's commission or salary, do they get a quota? Do they have to sell a certain amount of money or they get fired? Are there bonuses for selling beyond the quota? Are there bonuses for other things? And again, we talked earlier about how long is the sales cycle. So how long did it take from the very first email or phone call or whatnot until the customer said yes, on average? And are you measuring that as a company? And if so, is that getting better from quarter to quarter and year from year? And then the last one of the we'll talk about KPIs at some point, not today, but key performance indicators. Inside the sales team, a key performance indicator is what's the average price per sale? And is that going up?